Hello, and welcome to the Geopolitics Explained podcast. The news flow surrounding Greenland has been very intense, and as a result, trying to determine the reasons that Trump and the United States want to take Greenland is difficult. So, in today's episode, we're going to break through the noise. We're going to explore many of the reasons why Trump is targeting Greenland, and if these reasons are founded in fact or fiction. I do want to start this episode by also noting that we did see the development that a framework had been reached after Trump met with the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. I will discuss this framework next week and potential scenarios that could unfold as we move forward from here. But I believe that the reasons why Trump and the United States are targeting Greenland are still vital to discuss, because in my opinion, the situation is far from over. So those will be next week's discussions. For now, let's dive into the reasons behind Trump's Greenland pursuit. Back in 2019, we first heard of Trump's desire to acquire Greenland. He described it as a large real estate deal. At the time, this pursuit was rumoured to have been influenced by Ronald Lauder, a longtime friend of Trump, and a billionaire businessman who is heir to Estee Lauder. Today, Lauder has business interests in Greenland, which likely indicates why he is so interested in a potential US acquisition. Lauder is also part of the consortium with a desire to access Ukrainian rare earth minerals. A lithium deposit was the first to be tendered under the US-Ukraine minerals deal, and it's reported that the group, including Lauder, won this deposit. This is connected to one of Trump's reasons for wanting Greenland, which is Trump's interest in economic and business deals. Outside of Trump's pursuit of business deals, whether for himself or the United States, what other potential reasons have we seen provided by Trump and the United States for their pursuit of Greenland? The first reason is that Trump wants to take Greenland because Norway didn't give him the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, this sounds ludicrous, but a few days ago, Norway received a letter from Trump that was sent to the Norwegian Prime Minister. The letter said the following, quote, "Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think of what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China, and why do they have a right to ownership anyway?" End quote. The letter continues after this, but the main focus of the letter is that Trump believes that he can pursue Greenland through aggression because he didn't receive the Nobel Peace Prize. First of all, he does this with a lack of historical knowledge, because Denmark has been connected to Greenland for hundreds of years through multiple treaties. Also, Trump proposes this reason with a lack of knowledge, because the Nobel Peace Prize is awarded by the Norwegian Nobel Committee. This is an independent group that is not connected to the government of Norway, and certainly isn't connected to the government of Denmark. It's notable that Trump's pursuits of peace in the past have always been self-interested. In Ukraine and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Trump acquired minerals deals to diversify from Chinese rare earths. In the Gaza peace pursuit, if Trump achieves peace, he can seek to expand the Abraham Accords, which will further isolate Iran. Every other peace that he's pursued has also come from a base of the United States and Trump being self-interested. It's also notable that these peace pursuits aren't actually holding. The DRC and Rwanda continue to clash, Russia-Ukraine continues, and Israel launched strikes into Gaza as recently as 2 days ago. This letter is indicative of Trump's current strategy of trying to pressure other nations to justify his aggressive actions, but this letter doesn't hold up to even the simplest levels of scrutiny. Moving on now, and another reason that I've alluded to quite a few times so far is that Trump wants to take Greenland due to rare earths and critical minerals. Now, Greenland does possess reserves that are essential for technology and military applications, but Greenland possesses no active rare earth projects. Trump sees China with 70% of rare earth supply and 90% of refining capacity, and he needs to seek diversification. But Greenland is also covered in ice, so projects would face infrastructure constraints and environmental protections. As a result of all this, I believe that there are easier places that the United States can seek to diversify its rare earths. A few weeks ago, we discussed Brazil. This is a nation with the second largest reserves in the world, but that is ranked 12th in rare earth mining production. As a result of this, Brazil is a country where its rare earth industry has potential to grow with investment. The United States could seek to cooperate here, but instead they are seeking aggression against a NATO ally over a territory that currently has no rare earth mining production. In fact, Greenland only has 2 mines in total. That's not to downplay the situation of securing rare earths and critical minerals for the United States, because it is a dramatic situation, especially in military applications. This is vital in military applications because this is an area where the United States holds power that it would like to maintain. As a result, they do need to diversify, but I question if Greenland is the best place to do this, especially when an operational mining industry in Greenland would take years to establish. Moving on now, and another potential reason that Trump wants to take Greenland is to counter China and Russia in the Arctic. The last time a Chinese warship was seen near Greenland was close to a decade ago. However, if the United States did take Greenland, this would allow Trump to be able to view the Guick Gap, which is an area of ocean that spans between Greenland and Iceland, and then between Iceland and the UK. This route is critical for Russian submarines, and it was the Guick Gap where the United States worked with the UK to capture tankers that had fled Venezuela and beat the blockade in the aftermath of the US operation there. But the United States countering Russia and China in the Arctic isn't purely a military pursuit. It also has trade ramifications. In the Arctic, the ice is melting. This is opening new shipping lanes that heavily benefit the Russians, but also benefit the Chinese. Taking the Arctic route, which is also known as the Northern Sea route, can save from 7 to 12 days on Asia-Europe routes in optimal summer conditions. By taking this route, Shanghai to Rotterdam falls from 11,000 nautical miles, that is the route that travels through the Suez Canal, to around 7,000 nautical miles taking the Northern Sea route. Outside of the summer period between August and October, the ice thickens and icebreakers are required. So this does slow down this route, but this also highlights how icebreakers will be vital as we enter into a world where the Arctic is set to become a clear geopolitical battleground. This is why the United States is partnering with Finland to purchase 4 icebreakers and a further 7 that are expected to be built within the United States. Finland has designed 80% of all icebreakers in operation today, and 60% of them were built in shipyards in Finland. In my opinion, this is one reason that is actually founded in fact rather than fiction, because the battle for geopolitical influence in the Arctic is one that is growing stronger and stronger over time. Another potential reason for Trump and the United States to want to take Greenland is to defend Greenland. Now, the United States has had more than a dozen former military bases in Greenland, but many of them sit abandoned. Today, the United States only has one active base, this being the Pituffik Space Base. The base is a key location for the 12th Space Warning Squadron, which operates an early warning system, as well as being a key node in NORAD's missile warning mission. If the United States wanted to increase security in Greenland, it could do so through this base. This could also benefit Greenland and Denmark, but Trump is seemingly in the pursuit of zero-sum games. In a zero-sum game, the overall result of an interaction is zero, because the win of one player equals the loss of another. It's notable that in Trump's recent national security strategy, Greenland wasn't mentioned, but Trump has stated that Greenland would be vital for his Golden Dome. The Golden Dome does need interceptors to knock out enemy missiles, but they already have the Pitufik space base, which is set to receive some upgrades. As a result of all this, I question, would it not have been better for the United States to just ask if Greenland could be used as a part of the Golden Dome strategy? After all, Greenland has been a part of the United States' missile defense and space surveillance operations for decades. It is also worth stating that the Golden Dome is supposed to be largely space-based, with space-based interceptors. So it's questionable if possessing more territory in Greenland would actually benefit the United States. Finally, a few smaller potential reasons that I've seen some analysts discussing as to why the United States is interested in Greenland. The first potential reason is so Trump can help Russia and Putin. It's no secret that Trump has been weakening NATO for years. Whether this strategy is accidental or purposeful, or an attempt to boost the United States' position, the weakening of NATO does benefit Russia. Dmitry Medvedev teased that Greenland could hold a referendum to join Russia if Trump doesn't act quickly. This is, of course, a joke, but the Russians are clearly goading Trump to attack a NATO member because it sets a precedent that benefits them massively in their future goals in Ukraine, the Baltics, Moldova, and beyond. It also doesn't matter whether Trump's weakening of NATO is accidental or purposeful, because it does play into the Russians' hands. The final potential reason for Trump's pursuit of Greenland is that Trump wants to go down in history. Part of his pursuit with these aggressive actions is that he wants to be seen as a winner when history looks back. For Trump, wanting to be a winner, it doesn't matter who loses in these pursuits. Also, the United States has been seeking to gain more influence in Greenland for centuries. If Trump was the one who attempted to get this deal over the line, it would be a notable historic event. Now, in collecting all of these reasons together, there are some final points that I want to discuss. The most important thing, in my opinion, is that for many of these reasons, the United States doesn't have to acquire Greenland directly. Win-win relations are very possible here, and we could still see this arise with the Greenland framework. This framework is rumoured to see the United States control sovereign territory in Greenland via military bases. This is similar to the United States' current situation in Guantanamo, or the UK and its bases in Cyprus. Unfortunately for the rest of the world, Trump is very clearly playing zero-sum games. He could very easily renew his military aggression strategies in the future, because this zero-sum strategy is going to continue as Trump attempts to improve the options that the United States possesses. However, as we saw via Mark Carney's speech at Davos, other nations are going to remember this. It is questionable as we move forward if the middle powers, such as Canada and such as the European Union, do group together more and distance themselves from the United States. As I discussed in the Canada episode, I believe this will definitely happen for Canada, but for other nations, it depends on how reliant they are on the United States and what Trump can weaponize against them in playing these zero-sum games. Also, if these middle powers distance from the United States, where would they look? Many of these middle powers, especially Europe, possess very clear weaknesses. Europe has an energy imbalance. It doesn't produce enough to cover the amount that it consumes. And if tensions did rise with the United States, this is a clear area of weaponization for the United States. But Europe attempted to flatter Trump in the past in order to receive a more favourable deal, and still Europe finds itself once again being disadvantaged as Trump attempts to weaponize any power that the United States possesses. Would this see Europe turn towards China, which would ultimately disadvantage Trump and the United States? There is so much happening here in this situation surrounding Greenland, and these are all topics that I will discuss in more detail over the coming weeks. I hope that this has provided some more context for the potential reasons, or at least the reasons that are being promoted as to why Trump and the United States are interested in Greenland. But what's important now is where we go from here. In the next few episodes, I will discuss the EU connection to the United States. I will also discuss Trump's pursuit of zero-sum games and why it spells danger for the rest of the world, before then covering potential scenarios that could unfold for Greenland and other related nations as we move forward, especially with this framework now supposedly in place. If those episodes sound of interest to you, make sure that you follow the podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. And if you do feel obliged, please consider leaving a 5-star review for the podcast. It really helps the podcast, helps get more eyes on the podcast. And I hope that the information provided in the podcast is valuable. So that's all for today. I've been Dylan, and I'll talk to you next time.